Hey, today I thought we'd talk about this. But before we talk about that, just in case anyone notices, if you see this thing on my face, if I happen to look down, there's a couple on my head. This is what happens when you drop out of college, and in my case, twice. You're going to wind up with a manual labor job or outside job. So you're always in the heat, you're always in the sun, and you get things like these, or precancerous skin cancer, I guess. And then you go to the doctor, and then they freeze them off. They say they freeze them off, but actually it feels like they burn them off to me. So anyway, that's just, if you see those, no big deal. It was that time of year again that I go get them froze off. But I will say this, kids, stay in school and get a good job. Okay, this is a cartridge. Now, a lot of people might call it a bullet. I'm cool with that, but if you run into a gun snob, they're going to say, this is not a bullet. Only the little piece at the end is the bullet. This is a cartridge or casing. And so I just thought we'd talk about what makes up a cartridge and the bullet and everything else. So we're going to talk about the 44 Magnum, just because I'm working up some loads for my 44 Magnum, so I have some brass sitting around. So this is the case, what they call the case. It's what the whole cartridge is built around. Basically a big hole in the one end. And then that end is a primer. It's the silver piece right at the end. Just to show you what it's like when it's not there, I just happen to have a 357. And you can see through it. So actually, if you look just right, you can tell that goes the whole way through it. You can see a little hole in the end of it. So, like I said, it's built around the brass, the shell, the case. Actually, they're not all brass. Most of them are brass, but they do make them out of nickel, and they steel even for some cheap stuff. But anyway, this is what the primer would look like before it is shot. And then this is the primer after it's fired. And I'll show you the primer. Okay, this is an unfired primer. Tiny little thing, kind of hard to see. That is before you put it in the case. And like I said, that is it in the back of this case, and you can see the dent in it. The dent comes from a firing pin or a hammer. Something hits the primer to start the whole process. When that gets hit, it shoots a little spark, kind of like a cap gun spark. And that spark shoots into the middle of this, where the next component goes. Okay, and inside that case is this. This is the powder I use for 44 Magnums. It just happens to be ball powder. Looks like, basically it's about sand size, maybe even a little smaller. I'm going to make a reloading video at some time and go into more detail if people want to get bored. But I think it's cool though. But anyway, so that is inside the case after the primer goes off and it gets ignited. So the primer gets hit in the back. Inside the case is gunpowder. It gets lit. Oh, and this, by the way, is the bullet. This is what an actual bullet is. It is the only part that flies out the end of the gun. So the bullet would be sitting in there like that. The powder goes off inside that. The pressure has nowhere to go. Can't go out the sides because of the brass. Can't go out the back. So what's it do? All that pressure pushes the bullet out of the case. So the bullet, like I said, is the only part that comes out of the gun. Well, I mean, there's some powder that comes out the end, burning and stuff. So this is your cartridge. So basically there's 4 components. The primer gets hit, the fire jumps out of it into the middle of the case. Case lights or inside the case, the gunpowder goes off and it shoots the bullet out the end. So the red tip thing here is the bullet that comes out. And even as a kid watching, I don't know, is it Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, whatever. Was it Yosemite Sam and maybe Elmer Fudd would hunt and they would shoot at Bugs Bunny or whatever. And always in the picture, this whole thing would go flying through the air. And even as a kid, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't all come out of the end of the barrel. It's just the little piece on the end. So I guess I was destined to like guns and make my own ammo. So sometime I'm probably gonna make a video on the whole reloading process. It probably only a few of you will actually like it, but if you get into it, look what you can do. So you can have different kind of bullets to play with, different kind of powders, and then you get all your scales and stuff, and yeah, it's fun. And it actually makes it really cool when you shoot a deer, in my opinion, and you've made the bullets. I just said the bullets, so you caught me on that. But like I said, I'm not a gun snob. You can call them bullets. But anyway, it's really cool when you shoot your own homemade cartridge and get a deer with it. So that's what a bullet is. Oh, I was just testing you. That was what a cartridge is. Catch you later.